The Legato LTX 3085. I don't usually get excited about golf ball reviews, but I can't wait to share this one with you. So if you've not heard of Legato before, their mission is to be able to provide a tour performing ball at a reasonable cost. Now these are coming in at $29.99, Dan.
Which is cheap.
They're sort of trying to provide that tour ball, you know, Chrome Soft, Pro V1. They're sort of trying to really, you know, get into that sort of market. Now, I must say it's a tough market to get in. I mean, £30 I've always said is a difficult price point.
Yep.
But I think with the way, you know, prices are going, even like your DT sort of true soft, your AD treble frees, your soft feels, these are sort of getting up to that £30 mark. There's no such thing as like a good £20 ball anymore. You know, I don't know if you've noticed, guys, but even like them sort of balls now are sort of $26.99, which now makes a $29.99 price point seem like you can get so much more of a ball for that price. We've compared this ball against the Pro V1 and we've compared it against the AD treble free SRIXON, which as I said, they're about $26.99 a dozen. And I can't wait to share this data with you. So we're going to get out here and play because we wanted some on-course data as well, some real conditions.
See some ball flights, yeah.
We're going to play this par 3 and I might even get you to sort of stand green side because I want to see how this reacts coming into the green. I'm going to hit the SRIXON, the Pro V and the Legato just to see what reaction it has, and we'll talk about the data because this stood out in the shorter irons like unbelievably. You're going to want to see this.
Exciting.
Let's go and check it out. That's straight at it. It's got to hit one more. That's better. Right, so after seeing them balls pitch on green, I want you to put in order of, you know, lowest to highest spin.
Ooh,
so from what you saw, and we'll compare it against the data we got inside the studio.
I think lowest was first one.
That was the AD treble free.
Yeah, that didn't seem to spin much. I mean, it's still good stopping power. Second one, I would say went next.
Pro V.
Pro V, yeah. That spun back a little bit. Last one, ripped back off green.
Well, it's exactly consistent at data. So we had 8,000 spin on the AD treble free with a sand wedge. We had 8,500 RPM spin with the Pro V1. Yep. We had 9,600 with the Legato, so a lot more spin. Now, ball speed were pretty consistent. We had 85 with SRIXON and Legato. Pro V1 was a little bit more, 87. And total distance, well, carry distance was all within a couple of yards, and total distance was within a couple of yards as well. Okay. But I think it's safe to say if you're looking for spin and control, then that Legato ball is something in a league of its own, isn't it?
I mean, I couldn't really judge ball flight from where I was stood.
Well, I were averaging about 105 total distance, 108 with Pro V1, so you could set Pro V1 slightly longer. But
what about launch and flight with the
launch and flight? I thought were pretty consistent. I mean, if we look at the numbers here, launch were 28 with Legato, 31 with Pro V1. So Pro V1 were actually launching higher. 29 with sort of SRIXON. So you could say it's a strong penetrating flight with spin. Yeah. Which is really what you need in your shorter irons. So we're going to have a look at driving now. So we're going to get some drives and look at the numbers because again, you might be surprised at these.
I ain't seen them.
Well, it's away. Just down right side at fairway. Pro V. It's a good strike. That one's a little more on left hand side. And the third ball. I mean, that were the straightest. So we've just obviously done a little bit of measuring, haven't we? Yeah. In real conditions. So the SRIXON ball were 13 yards shorter than the Pro V. Yep. And then the Pro V were 13 yards shorter than the Legato ball. And now if you look at the studio testing, the Pro V and the AD333 was both sort of finishing 299 yards.
Okay.
Legato 308. And that's consistent with what's happening out here as well.
Oh, that's what we've just seen.
And, you know, ball speed, I mean, Sam, you know, obviously resident fitter on channel, always talks about when you've got that potential to get, you know, ball speed, that you will always get distance. And what you won't believe as well is that the club data is consistent. This isn't like we've swung the Legato, you know, swung fast with the Legato ball. It's a fair test. Looking at launch as well, with this ball creating a bit more spin, I was always a bit worried that would it launch too high. But it's actually launching sort of the lowest out of the 3 balls. It's a strong flight.
Yeah, I said same behind it. It looked like a nice flight to me. It didn't balloon up, did it? It was just...
And I mean, them spin numbers for me personally are very optimal. I mean, obviously Pro V's not sort of getting the spin that I'd really need off drive. It's a bit low. I think Sam said for me sort of 2.3 to 2.4 is a good launch, good spin. So that is very optimal for me in person, but incredible, I think, ball speed wise.
That ball speed's ridiculous.
That shows a lot of potential for somebody out there wanting distance. So yeah, happy with that. Consistent with studio. We're going to go and have a look at irons now, full shot irons, and then what we didn't do in the studio was like around the green testing, putting and chipping, on them short ones. Right, so we've got 160 yards to pin, so we're in a full 8 iron, bit of a mid iron test here, and Dan's going to watch these coming in, see if we can see how these react. He's just to the right. So you should have got that one all right. Right, Pro V1. It did feel firm, that. You can tell a difference between like a sort of premium ball and then a bit of a sort of mid-range ball. That's straight at the pin with Pro V. That's going to be pretty close, I think, if I've got the right distance. Legato's going to have its hands full on that one, I think. Oh no, it's straight at it. It's straight at it. I'm just telling him what line it's on. It'd be interesting to see how much that's spun, because that's a full 8 iron shot. Well, right, Dan, so I got a little bit caught out by wind there. I do apologise. Obviously struck them well, but into a little bit of breeze that we didn't feel. But numbers-wise, so this one did surprise me actually, because in the mid-irons, Legato was actually a bit lower spinning.
Spinning and ball speed's not.
Just to give some reference, the AD333 was spinning at 4,500, Legato were 4,700, and Pro V were 5,600. So in the mid irons, a little bit more spin with the Pro V. If we're looking at sort of like ball speed, 117 Legato, 119 Pro V, 115 AD333. So you know, pretty consistent there, but. Total distance, again, Legato come out better.
It did.
Because obviously a bit lower spinning, obviously travelled a little bit further, or rolled a little bit more on landing. But when you saw that landing, did you see much difference between Pro V and Legato?
No, I don't think you could. There weren't really much difference, not with eye anyway.
So, yeah, interesting. That did surprise me, because I just thought it were higher spinning in wedges, it were higher spinning...
It's surprising how numbers have sort of reversed, ball speeds drop, spins drop, but driver, it's gone the other way.
But I can assure you, obviously, club data as well, you know, I looked through and it weren't like we got like a number in there that were pulling things down. It was just consistent. So, you know, all in all, I were excited to share this today because, you know, so far it's just been such a good ball. But one thing we haven't tested is putting and chipping. So we'll have a little bit of a putting and chip. I think we might get you involved with putting on this one as well. As you go in your hand.
It's not bad. I'm sure I can still put
you can hold a putter. So this is a blind test for Dan. We're going to stick to the same order, AD333, Pro V, Legato. He's going to actually be looking at how they're checking, and I think this is where we will be able to give a bit more feedback on feel, because it's a little bit of a shorter shot. Just going to try to land it about halfway, see how it sort of checks. So that had quite a... It weren't too firm actually, you know, it felt okay. But it jumped forward a little bit more than I would expect with the balls I generally play. I generally play a soft ball. mean, I think that's pretty much 50-50. I'd usually land a sound wedge round about sort of 60-65% of the way, and it'd sort of check up a little bit. Now this is where we might get a little bit of zig with Pro V. Can you notice any difference in that one and the other two, or?
They'll look pretty similar from this angle.
Right, okay.
That one checked quite nicely. Probably seemed a bit more spinny.
Bit more ziggy.
Yeah.
I thought that had a little bit just more on it. Anything with that one?
That one grabbed.
It did, didn't it? I thought that. One more.
That one released a bit.
That one we're a little bit low at face, I'm not going to lie, but unfortunately we've got a couple of people behind us, haven't we? So
yeah.
we have to pick them up. So we don't have any data for that, but obviously I know how I felt over the ball. Could you see any difference when balls were landing?
First two looked like they didn't really grab as much, rolled on.
Yeah.
They also sounded a bit more firm.
Firm. Well, that was the A333, and I'd say I'm consistent with that. You know, obviously I felt like it wanted to jump forward. I felt like I were a bit nervous that it weren't going to sort of pull up on, you know, on that bounce. And then second one with Pro V1.
Okay, yeah.
That's where I felt a lot more control. I mean, they were two good shots, weren't they?
No, they were nice. Yeah, they checked a bit and then.
And when I hit the Legato, I certainly felt that it had more potential to spin. On that first shot, it sort of zipped a bit more.
The second to last one, I think that spun the most out of it.
Yeah, and unfortunately,
really
the last one I did catch a bit at the bottom, but still managed to.
It still grabbed a bit.
It still grabbed a bit, didn't it? Even though it weren't as good a shot. And I think that's where, you know, sort of like handicappers sometimes say, well, how would I get value out of a better ball? I think that's the big thing is when you hit and miss it around the green, you'll actually get more control. The ball stop quicker. So it can add value to your game, you know. You don't have to be a pro to use these balls. Putting.
So far so good then,
I think it comes down to this though. We obviously got to have a ball that feels nice putting. It can't be too soft. If it's too soft off the putter, then it can let it down. But let's see how it feels. So one point Dan's just mentioned is what sort of alignment does it have on? You know, obviously for putting, because we all like something to align up to. It's got quite a nice thick, bold tracking line actually. And do you know what? Going back to what me and James discovered about sort of hitting up on the ball, that'd be a beautiful visual for hitting up. You know, so when you tee it up, you get that slanted sort of backwards, and then if you're hitting an iron, slant it forward, and it gives you that visual to sort of compress down on the ball. So that thick, bold line, I don't think it's being put there by coincidence, had it? Because it actually says bold track. Yep. So they've actually used that as a bit of an alignment. Now, at this point, we've discounted AD333 because personally, it's not a ball I would use after seeing that greenside control. I'm a massive, you know, I pick a lot of my golf balls based on that. Not always based on sort of driver distance, but I mean, I'll take 8 yards extra any day.
Space that you need it.
So I've got 3 Legato and 1 Pro V. I need to get a couple more balls out. Right, so I think for me, it's going to come down to feel with these shots. In terms of hole inputs, I think that's definitely end user. If it feels nice, I think we're on to a winner. Oh, that's lovely, Dan. It gets that like little bit sort of firmer, clicky, you know, feel off the putter.
I could hear that straight away.
Which I like that. I like a reactive ball off the putter. You know, I don't want something that's like, you know, like Ballatry and dead.
Yeah.
Because I do like to use the soft inserted putter, so it's a good combination if you've got a ball that feels a bit more reactive. Which, you know, Pro V, I've always enjoyed playing Pro V because I think you get that with a Pro V as well. Just nudge that one up. I've
not had your Weetabix.
Well, I think it's just a case of not playing so much golf recently. I mean, that's where Pro V could probably improve, you know, with a little bit more alignment on their ball. I know they're obviously probably the bit more classy. Look, you know, they're a tour player's ball, aren't they, in a way? But I think the way the world's going, People require that now, don't they?
Yep.
As much alignment and help as they can get on a golf ball. This is my gamer, so a ball I'm used to. I think that's come off a little bit quicker.
All right.
There's not a, it's not a negative or a positive. Can I just have that Legato back again? I think now I've tried them side by side, I think it's a nice sort of firmish feel off the putter, but it don't come off the face as quick as a Pro V. So that'll just take a little bit of adapting to, but not, it's not a negative. It's nice to have a soft ball, obviously, but so I've just accelerated a bit more on that one and got it to the hole. I like that. There's not a negative there, you know, obviously on the putting.
Feel wise, quite similar then.
Feel, yeah, similar, but I would just say, in my opinion, comes off a little bit slower off the putt. But that's just a bit adapted, isn't it? So there's always going to be someone, Dan, when you're in a ball review, asks about durability, and it's a great question because when you're buying golf balls, they can't just be cheaper, they've got to be durable as well. So we've seen plenty of good golf balls on market. I mean, don't want to mention them, but we've done plenty of testing and the ball's been great and then it's just not been durable. Yeah. Well, Legato, although we've not played that much out on the course today, I hit loads of balls at net yesterday, and that's the only mark. I've got 12 balls out and I've got one mark on one of the golf balls, but every other ball, you know, shell-wise hasn't discoloured, there's no cuts. That looks like a little bit of a sort of scuff mark, so I don't know if I've sort of, I don't know what I might have sort of made contact with there, but that's obviously the only mark out of a dozen golf balls which I've had in use over the last couple of days of testing it in net, and I think it might have actually hit the pillow in the net.
Right, yeah.
I think there were one where I shanked it, but I did discount that one. But durability wise, so far so good. And this won't be the only review out there as well, guys. You know, this is my review, and I'm sure, you know, I've not even looked at other reviews. I like to make our own review. We are being led by other people. I don't know what you think, Dan.
No, I think you're always fair and like independent yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, I love to sort of make my own opinion on things and don't, you know, look at anywhere else. But I'd imagine if there's other reviews out there on this ball, they'd be pretty consistent to that. And yeah, definitely not one to overlook. At $29.99 a dozen on Amazon, I think they're definitely worth a test.
Right up there, aren't they?
Right up there. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed that video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We've got some great videos coming up, and we'll be back to see you in a couple of days' time. Bye.